Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Psych Files, episode 168. And today we're going to talk about an exciting topic, reliability and validity. I promise to make it interesting. But first, before we start that, I just want to show you this quick little video that's going, well, I guess I can't say it's going viral or anything, although, I don't know, 154,000. It's pretty cool. What you're seeing here is a crow, which is it's sliding down, it's kind of snowboarding its way down the side of a roof on something. Can't quite tell what that thing is. Some kind of, looks like maybe a bottle cap. And so it's sliding down in the snow and then picking up the bottle cap and going back to the top and sliding down again. So it's pretty interesting. There's been a lot of really interesting videos of crows. Crows are highly intelligent, and it's really interesting to watch what they do. There's another great video on YouTube of crows taking nuts and then flying to the middle. Let's say they land on, let's say, electrical wires in the middle of an intersection, and they will drop the nut into the traffic and wait for a car to run over it, and then they go down and get to crack the nut and go in and get the nut from the inside. So they do some really amazing stuff. Now, what's interesting about this video, and I've had a couple of people comment on this, and I'll link to some articles about it on the website. Someone makes a very good point, which is, how do we know, or that when we look at animals doing things that we do, we automatically assume they do it for the same reasons that we do it. So we assume that this crow is having fun because that's what we would be doing, right? But do we really know why the crow is doing this? So we just want to be careful about the inferences we make about animals when we watch them do things, because we're very quick to anthropomorphize, and we just have to be a little more critical thinkers when we look at stuff like this. But anyway, so talk about critical thinking. I want to show you a couple things and talk about a really neat article that came out not too long ago. Professor Marianne Miserandino did an interesting project with her class, and it was about, she teaches personality psychology. Now, one of the most popular apps in the iTunes App Store, I recently found out, has to do with personality. And, maybe it's not surprising. We are interested in our personalities. What makes us the way we are? The problem is that a lot of websites and apps and things use personality questionnaires that are of questionable value. And so here is one. This has to do with with ice cream. And does your preference for a type of ice cream indicate anything about your personality? And here's the test right here on a website I'll link to from my webpage, www.thepsychfiles.com. So I'm a chocolate lover. So you can see the options here. I got vanilla, chocolate, butter, pecan, banana, strawberry, chocolate chip. I'm going to pick chocolate because I happen to like chocolate. And apparently, according to this, I'm lively, creative, dramatic, charming, enthusiastic, and the life of the party. All kinds of nice things. And one thing that Dr. Miserandino points out in her article is that this is sort of what we call the Barnum Effect, which is that so many positive things are listed here, and they're so vague that just about anyone could read into this and say, oh yeah, that's me. If you look at any of the other personality quote-unquote descriptions, you would see things like, well, if you like strawberry, you're shy, yet emotionally robust, skeptical, detail-oriented, opinionated, introverted, and self-critical. Now, I could just as easily have read this one and thought to myself, well, gee, that does seem to describe me. I think that's me, So if we're vague enough, we can make people believe that our personality questionnaires are accurate. All right, so what I want to prove to you today is that the kinds of questionnaires that psychologists build are far more specific and more rigorous. All right, and I want to do that in two ways. I want to start with a test that I think is kind of fun. All right, and it's called the distorted tunes test. Here's the idea behind this one. This is, give you the website for this. This is from the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders. What you do, this tests to see if, it's kind of like a, whether or not you can tell the pitch. All right, do you have a perfect pitch, for example? So you listen to tunes, very short audio clips, and then you say either yes or no as to whether or not you heard an error in that tune. So let me play one. Okay, now that one, I think I heard an error in there. Not sure what tune that was, but I'm pretty sure I would say no to that. Let's play another one. Yeah, that's Yankee Doodle, I think, right? Yeah, I think that one didn't have an error in it, so I'm going to say yes to that, and just one more, because there's actually quite a lot of them here. Huh, I think I know that tune. Let's see, play it again. There's an error in there somewhere, right? Okay, so I'm going to say that there's an error in there. Okay, so I'm going to say, was the tune played correctly? I'll say no to that. All right, so you see where this test is going. And there are, let's see, there's 26 questions. And you listen to 26 audio files and say yes or no. In psychology, you're going to learn a lot about two very important concepts called reliability and validity. All right, so reliability is like the foundation to your house. That's the way I like to think of it. You have to have reliability. What does that mean? Well, in this case, it just means that whatever psychological test you take, you should get about the same score every time you take it, right? So if you take an intelligence test, for example, the one that most people are familiar with, and if you score very highly one day, and you're designated as a highly intelligent person, and then you take it again 3 weeks later, a month later, and now you're of average intelligence. That's not good, right? You should score highly. Maybe you don't get exactly the same score. So if you get 120 on your first administration, and then you come back maybe a year later even, you shouldn't be getting 90. Right? Nor is it expected that you would get 145. You probably should get 125, maybe 118, right? So we should have a test that's reliable. And my guess is that this test, this distorted tunes test, is probably reliable. If you don't have a good ear, then you probably will score poorly on this test. Right? You can't tell whether these audio clips are played correctly or not. So you score poorly. And if you come back a year later, I would guess that you probably still don't have a good ear, and so you score poorly again. And that is the way it should be. Unless in the meantime you took some music classes and maybe you tuned your ear a little bit, then maybe your score should go up. But apart from something like that, this test is probably reliable. This is pseudoscience. You can't be introverted 1 week and extroverted a month later. In terms of reliability, there's actually a number of different reliabilities. I just told you about what's called test-retest. There's another one called split-half reliability. For example, here we have 26 questions. Well, if we were to split this, in other words, if we were to look at your score on the even questions, and then compare that to your score on the odd ones, you should have about the same score, right? So if you score highly on the even questions, you should score highly on the odd ones. So that's sort of an internal reliability. It's taken all at one time. The other thing I could do, if I have 26 questions, here's what I could do. I could give you 13 of them and see how you do, calculate a score, and then have you come back a month later and give you the other 13. All right, sort of alternate forms. So the questions are different, but the idea is exactly the same, and you should score about the same. So here's a test. This has to do, this I believe is the achievement motivation. People do differ on the extent to which they are really achievement oriented. They want to get ahead in life, right? Some people really do. They want to be the top dog. Whereas other people are like, whatever. I just want a job, and then I go fishing on the weekend, and that's really the thing. That's where I'm at. Okay, so here's a test. Some of the questions here are: is being comfortable more important to you than getting ahead? If you say yes, being comfortable is really more important to me than climbing the corporate ladder, then this has a little R you see here, which means it's reverse scored. So you notice the score here is from a 3 down to a 1. In this case, I might say, yes, I'm a 3. I agree with this question. Well, then actually, the psychologist is going to turn that into a 1, meaning you have low achievement motivation, according to that one question. 14 questions, and some of them are very straightforward. Are you an ambitious person? I've got 14 questions. I could give the exact same test to you. I might wait, right, because I'd like you to forget how you answered the questions. So I'll give this to you again. Could be in a year. Could be 6 months. And probably, if this characteristic is stable, probably your score will be nearly the same. All different kinds of strategies to establish that your score is about the same, so you're reliable. If I don't get reliability, then there's something wrong with my questions. They're just not tapping into this concept that I think exists. Then I can move on to establishing validity.